Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I'm Andy Signore, and we have part one of Amber Heard's full interview with the Today Show. We're going to get there in 1 second. It's a doozy. It starts off as a puff, but then Savannah does do some pressing. You're not going to want to miss this. However, so many of you guys requested rando t-shirts. Randos Unite, based on yesterday's preview. Amber's calling all these randos out for telling the truth on the stand, and I love this Rando Forever one specifically, but 4 new designs you can go pick up, as well as so many proceeds go to the Tampa Bay Crisis Center here. But show your justice for Johnny Depp and display that you're a rando proudly with the new shirts over in the store. I'll put the link in the description. Thank you guys for supporting us and the Tampa Bay Crisis Center. All right, here we go. Let's watch this. I hope you're sitting down. Get ready. It starts pretty rough.
It's been about more than a week since the verdict. As you sit here with me now, has it sunk in?
How could it? Surreal and difficult. In part, yes. This has been a long time coming.
Do you stand by your testimony and your accusations against Johnny Depp about abuse?
Of course. To my dying day, will stand by every word of my testimony.
Oh, so that means forever. I will, to my dying day, I will.
Every single day I passed for 3, 4, sometimes 6 blocks, city blocks lined with people holding signs saying, "Burn the witch," "Death to Amber." After 3.5 weeks, I took the stand and saw just a courtroom packed full of Captain Jack Sparrow fans who were vocal, energized.
Can you put into words
how can you prove they all watched the Pirates movies and liked all the Pirates movies, you liar? Again, so many little lies.
That felt?
This was the most humiliating and horrible thing I've ever been through. I have never felt more removed from my own humanity. I felt less than human.
Let's go back to the day of the verdict. Were you feeling confident?
That's a great question. I wish I could say yes to that. I want to say yes to you, but it wouldn't be true. Even if you think that I'm lying, you still couldn't look me in the eye and tell me that you think on social media there's been a fair representation.
Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of...
I can say that you had a fair trial. That's real.
My evidence was largely kept out. Really important pieces of evidence kept out.
That is a blatant lie. Blatant lie. No, there was no smoking gun evidence. Elaine has been discredited as well when she tried to put this out there. What evidence, Amber? What evidence are you trying to say you didn't get in? Because that's a complete and utter lie.
Done differently, handled differently by a judge instead of a jury.
Some evidence is admissible in a UK court that is not admissible in a US court. Do you think that maybe he just had better lawyers?
I will say his lawyers did certainly a better job of distracting the jury from the real issues.
For some people...
That's such a slip. Sorry, I know you're going to watch. They did a better job at distracting. I was trying to get my lawyers to distract the jury so much harder, but they just couldn't. They weren't good at it. Johnny's team was way better at distracting. Did you catch that?
They just were frankly disgusted by the whole thing and don't have much sympathy for either one of you. Can you understand that?
Absolutely. I would not blame the average person for looking at this and how it's been covered and not think that it is Hollywood brats at their worst. But what people don't understand is it's actually so much bigger than that.
Oh, do tell.
This is not only about our First Amendment right to speak.
But here's the thing about the First Amendment. The First Amendment protects free speech. It doesn't protect lies that amount to defamation, and that was the issue in the case.
Yes, exactly. You can't go into, the free speech does not protect you if you go into a crowded theater and you scream fire.
Get ready for legal analysis coming from Amber Heard.
We get the concept of free speech from the Greeks. My understanding of what that means is not just the freedom to speak. It's a freedom to speak truth to power.
What?
But truth is the word.
Yes.
And that was the issue.
And that's all I spoke. And I spoke it to power, and I paid the price.
Oh my God. Oh my God. What is what?
The closing argument.
He had scissors for fingers.
Oh, sorry. I thought.
Called your testimony the performance of a lifetime and said you were acting. What do you say to that?
Says the lawyer for the man who convinced the world he had scissors for fingers. I'm the performer. I had listened to weeks of testimony.
I mean, no one said you were a good performer, Amber, but you definitely tried to be, I think is what she meant. But nice spin there.
Insinuating that, or saying quite directly that, I'm a terrible actress.
You are.
So I'm a bit confused how I could be both.
The Depp team argued that you were the abuser, that you instigated physical violence. Did you?
I never had to instigate it. I responded to it. When you're
I never had to instigate it. I responded to it.
living in violence and it becomes normal, as I testified to, you have to adapt.
You say you were responding, but there is evidence. There are tapes in which you acknowledge hitting. There are tapes in which you say, I started the fight.
I know much has been made of these audio tapes. They were first leaked online after being edited. What you would hear in those clips are not evidence of what was happening. It was evidence of a negotiation of how to talk about that with your abuser.
But I am looking at a transcript that says, he says, you start physical fights, and you say, I did start a physical fight. I can't promise you I won't get physical again. I mean, this is in black and white. I understand context. But you're testifying and you're just telling me today, I never started a physical fight, and here you are on tape saying you did.
As I testified on the stand about this, is that when your life is at risk, not only will you take the blame for things that you shouldn't take the blame for, but when you're in an abusive dynamic, psychologically, emotionally, and physically, you don't have the resources that, say, you or I do with the luxury of saying, hey, this is black and white, because it's anything but when you're living in it.
But then there are other times, there's another tape where you're taunting him and saying, oh, tell the world, Johnny Depp, I, a man, am a victim of domestic violence.
20-second clips or the transcripts of them are not representative of even the 2 hours or the 3 hours that those clips are excerpt from.
Could your side...
Like the 3-hour clip where he tries to leave and you won't let him leave, which we've listened to in its entirety. That one, Amber? I mean, you can't have it both ways. Oh, don't... I said one thing wrong, but that doesn't mean the whole thing was accurate.
Have just put the whole 3 hours in then?
I'm not a lawyer. As I testified to, I was talking in those recordings as a person in extreme amount of emotional, psychological, and physical distress.
He says he never hit you.
He can't.
Never. Is that a lie?
Yes, it is.
What about the witnesses who said they have seen you instigate physical violence?
I've seen firsthand how people will file rank and support the person they depend on.
Did they all come in and lie in court?
I am not here to call any of his witnesses any names. I'm here to...
Yes, you did. You called them paid randos.
Kind of talk about it from what it felt like for me as the person who sat there.
When I asked his lawyers, why do you think you won? And the answer I got was, because she never took responsibility for anything she did in the marriage.
I did do and say horrible, regrettable things throughout my relationship. I behaved in horrible, almost unrecognizable to myself ways. I have so much regret. I freely and openly and voluntarily talked about what I did. I talked about the horrible language. I talked about being pushed to the extent where I didn't even know the difference between, right and wrong. I will always continue to feel like I was a part of this, like I was the other half of this relationship, because I was. And it was ugly and could be very beautiful. It was very, very toxic. We were awful to each other. You know, I made a lot of mistakes. A lot of mistakes. But I've always told the truth.
I don't know about that one. Wait, that last part is really hard to digest. So she's finally acknowledging the mistakes she made, that she was toxic, that she did a lot of awful things. Like what? Because you've denied everything else up until that point. And that's the one question I keep asking everybody. When she said she was on the stand, I'm no saint. I wanted Camille to jump on it. What do you mean, Amber? Please elaborate. Because when she's backed into a corner like that, she takes responsibility. Like, oh yes, I'm terrible. It's toxic. Well then, are you talking about the tapes that you just tried to ignore and said they were out of context? What were you terrible about then, Amber? Like, because she wants to say, oh yes, of course. Yeah, it's both. It's a mutual. It's toxic. We were awful. But I didn't do any of the things that you caught me on tape doing. But yeah, I was a terrible what is it, girl? My God. There's so much to unpack on this, but I want to get this clip out. We are going to go live today around 1 o'clock. Join us there. We'll have a behavior expert, body language expert watching. We're going to break this down clip by clip. We will go through together. Overall, there's so many inconsistencies in this already that you can tell. And there's a lot of those tells. The side talking that she did. There's some more checking of her self-checking that she clearly adjusts herself on. She does that very much. And they cut out the rando part, which was really interesting because Savannah really did get her. I'm not calling out all these people for being liars. Yeah, yes, you are. You're saying they were paid? And you called them randos, which they cut out of this part. I guess they'll put in the hour-long version, but you saw it here yesterday. And yes, we are all proud randos, I guess. Random people who are standing up for truth and justice against power, which is you, and the Me Too movement, which has wronged so many people and a lot of innocent people. So yes, if you want to support and become a rando forever, I love this one. It's like wino forever. Get it? You can become one. But get a shirt at the Popcorn Planet store. I'll put the link in the description as well as the pinned comment. And stay tuned. We'll be live today at 1 p.m. around 1 p.m. Eastern to go through this one bit by bit with some experts on a panel to really break this down. You're not going to want to miss it. So make sure if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for all alerts, smash that like button, and stay tuned for part 1 in full depth here on Popcorn Planet.